Today I want to talk about a very gentle, beautiful, and commonly used herb in traditional Chinese medicine, the dried chrysanthemum flower. You'll often see these brewed as teas, either in little buds or full bloom, and sometimes in desserts. So the dried chrysanthemum flowers, like this, is actually just the dried head of the dried chrysanthemum flowers. We don't actually use the roots, stem, or leaves at all. There are dozens of varieties of this flower, however, typically are categorized as either the yellow chrysanthemums or the white. Yellow chrysanthemums are better in fighting colds and fever. Think of it as wind heat fighter. White chrysanthemums are better for the eyes and liver. So if you're staring at screens all day, this is your friend. And you can mix the two if you have them both. In traditional Chinese medicine, chrysanthemums are considered cool in nature. They're slightly sweet and bitter and mainly targets the lungs and liver. They're actually also really good for headaches caused by heat or tension. So this is when the yang's like rising in the body to your head. The chrysanthemums are really good at really cooling and calming that down. They're also really good for red, dry, or tired eyes, especially from screen fatigue, or if you're feeling overheated, irritable, or inflamed from stress. Okay, let's talk about size. You might be wondering, oh my gosh, there's so many different types and sizes of chrysanthemums. Yeah, there are. There are many on the markets which you can explore, and they have different benefits and different usages. There are typically 3 categories of chrysanthemum sizes, and this is really based on when they're harvested. First, you've got these baby tiny buds that look like this. They're typically like little round balls and tightly packed. These are more dispersing and higher in volatile oils, so really better at releasing the exterior for like the early stages of a cold. These are definitely best for that really heaty body and require a shorter steep time. Then there are these more standard mature blooms. This is the white mature bloom where they are a little bit bigger in size. These are more mild and typically used in restaurants and mainstream teas. They're gentler on the stomach and best for daily consumption or for people with weaker constitutions. They're also cheaper and more widely available. And then we've got a variety that's known as the Emperor's Bloom. This is what they look like. Big. These are typically single large blooms at around 6 centimeters and plus that are fully mature, extra large chrysanthemum flowers. They're less bitter, less potent, and gentler than the baby buds with similar effects to the mature blooms. They're typically more ornamental and look really cool in glass cups, like this. When you're buying dried chrysanthemum flowers, quality does matter. Here's what to look for. The flowers should be whole and not crushed. The color should also be a little bit pale yellow to light gold, not really brown. This is a sign of oxidation and age and could mean that the flowers lost some of its volatile oils, which makes it less active as an ingredient. The aroma should be light and floral, never musty. And there shouldn't be any leaves, stems, or roots with the product. The buds should also be consistent in size. And when brewed, the flower should open slightly like it's blooming. The tea itself should also remain relatively clear and not cloudy. If it's cloudy, it means the chrysanthemum's not of the highest quality. The best way to use chrysanthemums are in simple ways. This means fewer ingredients, maybe paired with 1 to 2 other complementary ingredients. This is so that you can enjoy the aromas and the flavors of the tea and be very intentional in how it can support your body. The easiest way to use this herb is in a basic tea. You can steep 5 to 8 buds in hot water for about 5 to 10 minutes and drink warm. You can refill the hot water 2 to 3 times throughout the day. Add a bit of honey for taste if needed, but in general, the Chinese do drink this as is. Another great ingredient to add with dried chrysanthemum flowers are dried goji berries. This balances the cooling tea with gentle yin nourishment, really great for dry, irritated, sore throats, and even more supportive for eye strain and eye health. You can also mix chrysanthemum flowers with dried snow pears, either steeping or simmering gently for 10 minutes. This is amazing for dry throats, heat, or hoarseness. I would avoid chrysanthemum flowers for now if you tend to feel cold easily, have chronic loose stools, have weak digestion or low energy. The chrysanthemum flowers is cooling, so too much too often can weaken the spleen over time. It's also not ideal during a cold type of illness with clear mucus and chills, as it's definitely better for reducing heat. I will typically keep my chrysanthemums in the jars that they came in like this because I use them pretty quickly. I'll store them in a dry, cool place in my dry pantry, just like this. Chrysanthemums are very good at absorbing moisture and odors, and so I do try to keep them quite separate and contained in their own containers. This is so that they can really retain their dryness, aromas, and longevity as an ingredient. Dried chrysanthemums are one of those ingredients that bridge between food and medicine. It's gentle enough for daily use, but potent enough to shift how you feel. If you have any questions, thoughts, recipe ideas, leave them in the comments below. Happy tea making with chrysanthemums, and I'll see you next time.